How many novels have you started and never finished? You know the cycle. A new idea hits, you're obsessed, you write the opening chapters and think, this is the one. Then the story gets difficult, the excitement fades, and suddenly another idea appears. Fresher, clearer, better than the book you're already writing. So you switch. Then you do it again. You may think you're searching for the right story, but here's what's actually happening. You're not scared of finishing. You're high on starting. New ideas give your brain an immediate reward. The difficult middle of a novel doesn't. So your brain starts calling escape inspiration. Here's how you break the cycle. Before you abandon another manuscript, ask 3 questions. Is the new idea genuinely better or just newer? And am I running towards something or running away? That's the pivot test. And by the end of this video, you'll know whether to leave your current novel behind or finally finish it. Starting a novel is incredibly rewarding. New world, new characters, new possibilities. Nothing has gone wrong yet. Your plot hasn't collapsed, your protagonist hasn't become mysteriously boring. The book can still become anything because you haven't made enough decisions to create constraints. Your brain loves this. Novelty grabs our attention. Anticipation creates energy. New possibilities feel rewarding before we've done much with them. That's why the first 10% of a novel feels intoxicating. Then you enter the middle. The middle is where possibility becomes responsibility. Characters have histories you need to remember. The plot has consequences. You're no longer just inventing, you're solving. And solving doesn't give your brain the same immediate reward as imagining something new. So when a fresh idea arrives, your brain compares 2 experiences. Over here, a manuscript with continuity problems and slow scenes. Over there, a sparkling idea with no visible flaws. Of course the new idea looks better. It hasn't had time to become difficult yet. Your brain isn't broken. It's doing what brains do, moving toward the quickest reward. But here's the dangerous part. Your brain may call that reward inspiration. The desire to escape a difficult manuscript can feel almost identical to the excitement of discovering the right one. That's why you need a way to test what's actually happening before you walk away. Question 1. Is this idea better or just newer? This sounds simple. It's brutal. Because newer almost always feels better. Say you're writing a family drama. You've reached chapter 14. Every scene feels flat, and you don't know how to move the characters forward. Then you get an idea for a supernatural thriller about a woman receiving phone calls from her future self. That idea feels incredible. You can see the opening scene. You know the cover. But that doesn't mean the thriller is a better idea. It may only mean you haven't discovered its problems yet. You're comparing the hardest section of one book with the imaginary best version of another. That's not a fair comparison. So write the new idea down, 1 page, the premise, the characters, and anything you don't want to forget. Then close it. Let the chemical excitement cool down. If it still feels stronger after you have some distance, and you can explain exactly why it's a better project, you may have a genuine redirection. But I feel more excited about it is not enough. Excitement is evidence of novelty. It isn't automatically evidence of quality. Question 2. Have I given this manuscript a fair chance to be hard? Every novel becomes hard, every single one. Even the right book, even the one you were born to write. There will be scenes that refuse to cooperate. There will be days when the book feels less like a calling and more like a badly managed construction site. Difficulty is not proof you chose the wrong project. Sometimes difficulty is proof you've moved beyond the fantasy of writing a book and into the actual work of writing one. Imagine someone learning piano. For a few weeks, everything is exciting. Then they reach scales, timing, and repetition, the tedious work that creates competence. If they switch instruments every time practice gets difficult, they spend 10 years being a beginner. Writers can do the same thing. If you leave every manuscript when it reaches the middle, you never discover whether you can finish. You only become extremely experienced at beginning. So ask honestly, have I reached a genuine structural failure? Or have I simply reached the point where the project requires skills I haven't developed yet? A broken story may need to be rebuilt. A difficult story may only need you to stay. This is the next question, and the most important one. Am I running towards something or running away? A real creative pivot has direction. You can explain what you've learned and why the new project allows something the old one cannot. You're moving towards something specific. Running away sounds different. I'm just not feeling it. The energy is gone. I think I need something fresh. Those feelings are real, but they may have nothing to do with the quality of the book. You might be running from a scene you don't know how to write. You might simply miss the feeling of the beginning when the story still seemed effortless. Here's a useful test. Before you switch projects, name the exact problem you're trying to escape. Not the book feels off, the actual problem. The second act has no central conflict. The main character has no reason to make the final choice. The pacing dies after the midpoint. Now ask whether starting a new novel actually solves that problem. Usually, it doesn't. It only postpones the moment when you hit the same wall in a different manuscript. I've had projects I wanted to walk away from. I reached a point in one screenplay where the opening worked, the ending existed in my head, and everything in between felt like wet cement. Around 40 pages in, I became convinced the story itself was the problem. Then another idea appeared. It had momentum, a cleaner premise, a stronger central image. At least, that's what I told myself. But when I looked at it honestly, I wasn't moving toward a better story. I was moving away from a problem I didn't know how to solve. The screenplay had reached the point where inspiration could no longer carry it. It needed structure. It needed decisions. It needed me to sit with the uncomfortable possibility that I might have to rebuild part of the story. The new idea wasn't better, it was just newer. And recognizing that, applying the test honestly, is what let me finish. Here's the practical shift that makes the middle sustainable. Stop measuring your writing day only by what you produced. Start measuring it by what you solved. Keep a problem log. At the end of each session, write a single sentence naming the thing you figured out. Realized why the antagonist disappears in Act 2. Found the motivation for the final choice. That log becomes evidence you can see, proof the middle is working even when it doesn't feel electric. Second, leave yourself a breadcrumb. At the end of every writing session, stop mid-scene. Not at the end of a chapter, not at a natural resting point. Stop in the middle of something you know how to finish. That way, returning tomorrow feels like discovery instead of drudgery. You're not starting cold, you're picking up a thread. At some point, you have to decide that finishing one thing matters more than starting 10 more. This isn't a guilt trip, it's a choice. And the choice gets easier when you stop mistaking dopamine for destiny. The book that gets finished is not the one that felt most electric on day 1. It's the one you refused to abandon on day 47. Go to your graveyard folder. Pick one draft, not the newest, not the shiniest, the one that still pulls at you. Apply the 3 questions. If it passes, open it. Don't reread from the beginning. That's a trap, and you know it. Scroll to the last scene you were working on. Read the final paragraph. Write the next sentence, then the next one. You don't need a new idea. You need to finish the one that already chose you. You are not a Sierra starter because something is broken in you. You're a serial starter because starting feels electric and finishing feels vulnerable, and your brain has been choosing the high every time. That makes sense. That's human. But the difference between the writer with 12 chapters and the writer with one book is not talent. It's the willingness to stay in the room after the electricity fades. Like and subscribe for more videos. I'm here every week helping you free your soul and write.